Welcome to Unlocking the Syntax Search Engine, Old Testament and New Testament, and we're going to have 10 practical strategies for Bible study. Now, of all the webinars I've done the last couple of years, this is probably going to be the most intense and most challenging technically. I would say that the Syntax Search Engine is probably the most underutilized tool in Logos, the one that has the most mystery, and also the one that requires probably the most knowledge to use because it's just a very complicated, very powerful tool set, and we're going to try to break that down and make it easy to understand. It's impossible to go to the full depths, but I promise you after tonight's webinar, you will be able to at least begin to scratch its surface and make some use out of it for Bible study. So here are some of the 10 practical strategies for Bible study, and let's begin with number 1 there, which says read books on the topic of syntax and discourse. Now, that is the background to everything. If you begin to get some knowledge on this tool and what syntax and discourse is, and we'll talk about that in a very basic way, this will just grow your knowledge. Another way is number 2 there. We're going to talk about how to use and learn to use those templates. We're going to learn to read the syntax graphs and the grammatical relationships. Also, what you need to know how to create your first search. We're going to show you how to reduce your search results with the syntax. And then we'll do some fun searches like how to find who's being spoken to, how to work with semantic domain, how to find repeating words and look for patterns and making lists, and then we'll kind of wrap it up with some other syntactical resources that will be useful as well. We are in the first Monday of the month, February 6th. And as you can see, next month we're going to resume on that Monday with the Top 100 Shortcuts, Part 4. We've already done 40 of those, can you believe it? And we still got 60 more to go, so there's a lot of shortcuts yet ahead of us. Just a quick reminder, we have free live training 3 times a month. The next one will be, of course, February 20th there, Study Important Doctrine Logos 4. We'll be talking about the tongue. The 4th Monday of every month, next one will be February 27th. We'll talk about discourse analysis, kind of connected to this topic. That's the HDNT or even the SG. I always get mixed up in all these letters, but that's the Greek version of the this HDNT. You've got the ESV version and you got the New Testament Greek version of discourse analysis. So we'll take a look at that, and of course, March 5th we'll pick up with the 100 shortcuts. And just a quick reminder, the webinars are free, always live, and then you can download those within a day for $4.99, a great value, especially tonight. You're going to definitely want this one because of all the content will be in here. And the webinars are designed to move a little bit faster, handle questions, things like that. In fact, Orpheus just chimed in and says he's been waiting for this one. He's excited, and so am I. I'm a little nervous because I'm not sure what kind of questions you're going to throw at me tonight. And then so the webinars are very interactive, very easy flowing, a little unstructured, whereas the CDs are very structured, very organized, and a very systematic way going through Logos 4. The orange disc overviews every feature in Logos 4. The blue discs help you apply what you learn in the orange disc and apply that for the purpose of studying the Bible and teaching, and that's a 2-disc set. And then the orange disc is an update that covers really the changes Logos has made from 4.1 to 4.4. And now I just finished this weekend. You saw the email for that. It's also the link is on the homepage at LearnLogos.com. We got the 4.5 updates out there. And that's 30 minutes of new training on these new resources, and we really cover extensively the notes, the highlights, and how to use those. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, just go right online and download those. And that's a compliment, or I should say compliment to all you who buy my training. My guarantee is to keep Logos 4 training up to date. So as Logos makes changes, you get the updates for free. So that's the advantage of buying the training bundle, because you get those updates. Also, let's begin now with something you may not be aware of, is the books that are available in Logos Library on the topic of discourse. Now, this is not the kind of reading you do at nighttime. Unless of course you want to fall asleep. This can be very technical and very dry, but it's very worthwhile because the greater that your knowledge becomes of this, the more capable you will be in your searching and using these tools. Now, the first 3 books that you see at the top are the glossaries that come with the syntactical resources. Now, when you buy Scholars or higher, including the original language, you will get the syntactical databases. These are not available on Home or Leaders or even Basic Library. So you have to have Scholars or higher to have these tools. And let me just open up a couple of these resources right away so you can see that. So what I'm going to do is just put in syntax here. And actually, let me do a couple. Let's do open text and just show you one of the glossaries and what it looks like. What they're going to do for you in the glossary is begin to define some of the jargon that's associated with it. We certainly can't go and explain everything. There's some helps on the training CDs in the extra directory. There's some training videos on there as well. Don't forget, we've done webinar, I think number 4 on preparing sermons, studying the Bible, and inductive Bible study. We looked at syntax and showed you how to build an outline from the syntax. So there's lots of practical helps already out there. But the glossaries will begin to explain in a more practical way some of the jargon. So take advantage of that because once you begin to understand these categories, and these glossaries aren't very long. This one's only a couple pages. Let me go to the next one, which would be the Cascadia one. Let me open up that resource. And again, there's the glossary, Cascadia. And there we go. There's some more. And this one is, again, probably 10, 20 pages or so of information. And this will begin to give you an understanding of what does it mean when it says sentence or verbal clause and things like that. And let's go back to one more, the Anderson-Forbes. Let me get that one opened up. And you can see that glossary. That one's going to be a little more robust than the other ones just due to the nature of, there we go, Systematic Glossary to Anderson-Forbes database. And this one is just very extensive in some of the details. So you can see kind of the table of contents there. You're going to learn about number and gender and get some grammar lessons in there. But if you notice the glossary, very short, abbreviated definitions. It's not going to be very difficult, but it will come in handy because as you understand what they're saying, it'll make it a little bit easier for you to look for things. So take advantage of that. Now, let me close these books. And I don't have these books in my library, and you'll know why in a minute. But we have 3 resources there at the bottom. Now, the middle one, Linguistics and the New Testament Interpretation by Black. Let me open up that one. That I do have. And that will be very helpful to have because that will give you some additional information. Let me pull that up again. Oh, there we go. Takes a second to type all these up. There we go. Linguistics and New Testament Interpretation. Some essays on discourse analysis. So this is a really good resource because think of this as an introduction, an overview of some of the ideas behind discourse analysis. And so this is kind of one step beyond Greek and Hebrew grammar. These little essays will be very helpful to understand what's going on. So take advantage of that. These are written by great scholars. They bring up some interesting issues as well. Now these last 2 resources are unbelievable. It's called Discourse Analysis and the New Testament. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring that up from the Logos website because sometimes seeing is believing. And let me just bring this up real quick and bring this over to our slide. Okay, here you go. The Discourse Analysis and New Testament Approaches. That's right, $190 for one book. So this is a very technical book. This is written by Stanley Porter, who is basically the guy behind the open text database. And he's going to just tell you everything you need to know. 412 pages, hundreds of articles. I mean, it's just a very thorough and complete book. So for you scholars out there who want to go deep, this is the book for you. And not only will you go deep, but you need deep pockets too. The other resource is right here, is Discourse Analysis and Other Topics in Biblical Greek. And this is a different resource. You'll notice that D.A. Carson's involved in this. And this is $211. And it's only 222 pages, so it's half the size, and it's more expensive. This one literally is $1 a page. And but these are pretty much it. These are the two most extensive books in Logos Library on discourse analysis. So I think it would be appropriate to at least talk about what these books are about and to make you aware of these. So start with the glossaries, learn the terms, get some background there. The linguistics and New Testament interpretations is not very expensive. I think it's under $40, but the other ones you would wait until you either get to seminary, or if you're just ready to go deep, those resources are available to you. And let's see, Joseph was asking, are these available for the Mac? Yes, they are. So great question. And okay, I think that's it on the question board. So I wanted to at least let you know of these resources. Let's go to the next slide and talk about learning to use the templates. Now, I've brought up 3 screenshots where I captured the screen of the various templates that are available for you. So let me see if I can do this here. There we go. All right, you can see this one, the Hebrew Bible, Anderson Forbes, where that little red dot is. That is the Hebrew syntactical database, and this is a list of the templates available for that. The next one in the middle is the open text templates, and you can see that list there. And then over at the right, we have the third set of templates for Cascadia, and those are listed there as well. So you've got 3 sets of templates, and we're going to use each one just so you can see how they work inside Logos 4. So what I'm going to do to get access to those templates is simply click on the search button. So I'm going to go to the top, we're going to click on search, and we will be good to go. Now, the next thing we're going to do is click on the syntax at the top right, and you can see that there's 4 search choices. We want to click on syntax, and then we want to click on query. Now, when you click on query, that's when you're going to see the templates. And you can see that there's quite a few. Now, the first half of the list are expecting you to type in Hebrew. The second half of the list, you can type in English, which is really handy. So let's go to the English subject just to keep things simple. So all I'm going to do is select from the list English subject Anderson Forbes. Now, the nice thing about this template, let me expand this a little bit, is it gives you some basic criteria. So we have to choose our passage. So I'm going to choose all passages. And then notice that the Hebrew Bible Anderson Forbes phrase mark analysis has been selected for us. If for some reason you go in, you're not using the template, just click here and you'll get a list of all the available syntactical templates or syntactical databases. Alright, so there they are listed. We're going to use the Hebrew Bible. Now, for the subject, we can type in anything we want. But the idea here is that we're looking for places in the Bible that have been tagged as the subject of the sentence. So, for example, we could type in, and that was small g, so that's why we got all those back. Now, here we go with big G. So, case sensitivity, very important. Thanks for pointing that out. Sometimes in the haste of doing the demos, I forget some of the basic things like that. So here we go. Here is God. So keep in mind, now we've got every place where God is the subject in English. Now, we may get different Hebrew words back. In fact, if I scroll down, most of these are Elohim. I know Hebrew, so I recognize that one. I'm not seeing any other ones at this point. A little different form there. We got L, so I expect that. But most of these are Elohim that are coming back. So I bet you now if we did Abraham, capital letter, we'll probably get it back. So let's do it that way. Yeah, there we go. So Abraham. So be aware of the case sensitivity. You know, I've done lots of searches, and but I very rarely do the English ones. I'm always in the Hebrew. So here's an example of all the places where Abraham is the subject of the sentence. So these templates save you a lot of headache because you're not having to know how to construct the actual technical syntax search to pull this off. So there you go. So let's close this one down, and let's just do a couple others. Let's do one from each one of those. So let's go to the Cascadia graphs in the New Testament, and we'll go query. So we left all passages the same. We changed to Cascadia, and then we clicked on query, and now once again we've got the Greek first and then the English second. So let's do the English object. Let's see what the objects, and let's make Jesus the object of the sentence, and let's see what comes back, if anything. So we're going to run the search in the Cascadia, and notice that my ESV is still there. Let me expand this. And so we get back all the places where grammatically Jesus and syntactically is the object of the sentence. So here we go. She'll bear a son, and she shall call his name Jesus. There we go, and so forth. They lifted their eyes. They saw no one but Jesus only. And we go all the way to the last one, 1 John 4:3. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. So this is a great way, if you think about it, you are doing a syntactical and grammatical search, but you're doing it from the English. This is very powerful. Now you just need to think of things that you'd like to search. And then you can use the syntax graphs, the syntax templates to find those. Now let's do one more. Let's do the open text. And let's take a look at those. So again, I just clicked on my drop-down list, and I'm choosing the open text, syntactically analyzed text. And once again, we see our list. Now, let's see, what do we got here? Let's do a Greek one. And let's see, what do we got? We got addressee. We got adverbs, objects, predicators. Let's do predicators. That's a fancy word for verb. And what I want to do is put in a Greek word. And notice what I did here. I want to pause. This is very important. Notice that I typed in the letter G, then a colon, and then I spelled phonetically the word agapao for love. So logos, even though it's in English, logos converts that into Greek. If I had put an H in there, colon, then I can get all the Hebrew words. But again, I have to have the correct phonetic spelling, and that's how you do that. So let's go ahead and hit select from the list agapao and click go. So this is going to find every place where agapao, love, is the verb, the predicator in these syntactical graphs. And here we go. You have heard it that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. And then of course, but he says in the next verse, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And we could go all the way down to Revelation 12:11, the last place that love is used in this way as a subject or as a main verb. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of their testimony, for they loved not even their lives unto death. What a great truth that is. Okay, while that's pausing there, let's look at some questions here. We got a lot. Susan just asked them practically, do you use this a lot? I would say that I use this at least once every time I'm doing a sermon or a serious Bible study. And the reason I use it at least once is because there's usually something coming up. For example, you're studying Jesus and you want to say, okay, where is Jesus talked about in the Bible? You could do a concordance search, but then you could go here and do Jesus as the subject, and now look at all the places where he is grammatically the subject of the sentence. And when someone's the subject of the sentence, that tends to be the focus of the sentence. And so that's a great way to just kind of cut through all the places that are mentioning Jesus and get to the most important ones first, grammatically. Let's see. Diane, Cascadia is not part of Scholars. I have Scholars, but Cascadia isn't coming up. You know, I'll need to double check on that and see what collection it's on. So just give me a moment and I'll look that up for you. After a while, these, like I said, let's see. I know that the Septuagint is an add-on, and it's in pre-order right now. That's not available, and that's going to be $199. Very expensive, but it'll be great to have a Greek syntax graph and a second one to the Hebrew. And they also have the Apostolic Fathers, Let me see here. Cascadia doesn't seem to be coming up in the search results. I'm not quite sure why that one is not coming up. We'll just check the base packages and see if it shows up in the comparison charts. And I'll just take one more moment to look up for you. And while I'm waiting for the search result to come back, does Cascadia have anything for the Old Testament? Joseph asking, or is it NT oriented only? Right now, it's only available for the New Testament. But as I said earlier, if you go do a search on the Logos website, you can pre-order the Septuagint, that is, and that'll be $199 for that. And here I go. I'm going to look at the Cascadia, and yeah, here we go. Looks like Cascadia is available of the graphs in silver or higher. They do give you the clausal outline. Yeah, it's silver or higher. So there you go. Yep, that's it. Okay, next question. Lee was asking, can you do a search for one word as the object and another word as a subject? Yes, you can, but I'm not sure if you can do that with the templates. So let's take a quick look. And it doesn't look like the templates give you that kind of finite control, but we can do that, and we will do that when we get into creating your own syntax graph. Sile says, is there a way to start in English, and will it show in the reverse to show the phonetic spelling in Greek or Hebrew? Unfortunately, that's a little bit tricky. The best way to get to the phonetic spelling is to use a translator. Well, let's just open up the Bible here. Let's go to we're using ESV tonight, so let's open up the ESV. Let's go to John 3:16. I'm going to turn on, by clicking display, I'm going to turn on my transliteration. Let's turn off all the Greek. And I was afraid, yeah, here we go. So let me get that precise one. All right, what I've got displayed is the inline, the surface, and the lemma transliterated. And there is the letters that you would type in, A, G, A, P, A. Now the only one that's tricky is that last one, O. I typed in a W because I knew that, and because you don't have an O with a line on it. So there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, this will get you there. I'm going to take a little drink here for a second. There we go. Had a little tickle in my throat. Okay, so great question on how do you get a transliteration. This will get you pretty close there. Those O will work with a W. Okay, Daniel's asking a question, how did you get the ESV to show up? What I did is I went to the very top where the command box is, and I just typed in ESV. You can type in the command box any Bible, I guess the best way to say it is the Bible abbreviation, NIV, KJV, NASB 95, and when you type that in the command box, a menu will appear giving you a chance to open, and so I clicked on Open ESV, and that's how I got it. Okay, great. Sal says, thanks, John, that was cool. Sandra, can you copy and paste to get the special characters in the field? Yes. In fact, let's do that. That's a great point to bring up. And so what I'm going to do now is turn on the Greek lemmas, and so we can see those there. And actually, you don't even need to turn on to do this, but it'll be nice for demonstration. So I'm going to right-click on love inside my ESV. So you do need to use an interlinear to pull this next search off. And so I right-click on the word loved. I look at the right side of the menu, and I look for lemma. And there's agapao. And then I can go to the left side of the menu, scroll down, and look for copy. So I'm going to click on copy. Now we can go to search. We can open up our syntactical search. We can click on query. This time we can type in predicator, and we can right-click in the predicator box, put in paste, and now we got the Greek word in there. We can click agapao, click go, and there we go. So with the interlinear open, you can use English words, You can use lemmas, transliterations, and you can also use the original Greek or Hebrew. Simply right-click on that interlinear, choose the lemma, and you are in business. Okay, Blair's got a question. What is the difference between these resources we're looking at and the ones from Steve Runge? That's a great question, Blair. I'll answer shortly now and then let you know that at the end of this month, I'm doing a webinar on Steve Runge's resources exclusively. And there's really quite a big difference, and that's where it gets difficult because the word discourse is getting thrown all over the place. So what makes it easier is think of this as syntax is what we're doing tonight. Even though it is part of discourse, think of this as syntax. And the big difference is the information you get in each of the books. In syntax, what you're getting is these graphs, these visualizations, in fact, let me close down the search engine there. You're getting the syntactical information tagged on these words with these visual graphs. All right, and you have to know what these mean. Now, the Steve Runge, and again, we'll just take a sneak peek because we're going to do a whole webinar on that. He's going to give you the English. You could get it in Greek. He's going to give you these tags. So he's titling this a sentence, and we would agree with that. But he's giving these other symbols like here, characterization. The discourse doesn't mention that. The syntax doesn't mention that at all. But Steve does. So it's different types of information that you now have associated with words, phrases, and sentence level. And that will just help you get more information. Think of it this way. Think of it as these are just additional labels to give you more information, to capture your attention, to draw you to the text so that you understand what you're looking at. I know a dog because it says dog, but you know, if someone said canine, that would help me. Or if they started to describe the dog, 2 ears, you know, a long snout mouth, you know, 4 legs, a wagging tail. All those are different labels that are associated with the dog. And by having those additional labels, I can be more precise in identifying not only that it's a dog, but maybe what type of dog it is. And that's what syntax and that's what Steve Runge's HDNT is going to do for you. It's going to give you more labels so that you know exactly what you're looking at and how to interpret it in light of its context. So great question there. All right. So we can, just to kind of back up a little bit, back to our templates. So these templates are really powerful, and take advantage of them. They're very simple, but they can get you a lot of information quickly, and it'll get you. It's kind of the first baby step into syntax. I mean, that's a good way of thinking of it. All right, let me go ahead and close all those resources down. Let's go back to the PowerPoint, and let's go into step 3, learning to read the syntax graphs and the grammatical relationships. Now, this is, it took a lot of time to think about how to present this, and I thought this would be the best way to do it, because in one place now with the webinar, you've got this simple picture of how to connect what you see visually to a syntax search engine to build a search. Okay, so for example, here is the, I didn't mention this one, I left the label off. So this is open text, okay, and I'll add a label to this during the webinar before I produce this, so it'll be there. So this is open text, and you can see the orange arrow pointing to the PC and pointing to the clause. The PC is in this area called the clause. Now if you go to the blue one, you can see I've got it going to the CJ, and that's conjunction. The red one, the clause components, pointing to the P. So you're seeing these, if you think of the graphs as columns of information looking vertically instead of looking horizontally, then these labels will make more sense. WG is word group, head term is HD. Modifier, you can see that one of the modifiers is DF. And again, there can be other labels in these categories, in these columns of information. And then you have word. So see how the words, you got different words. We got Kai and different Greek words there. But this is the quick reminder to get notified. Join me at twitter.com/LearnLogos, or become my friend at facebook.com facebook.com/LearnLogos. You'll get announcements for everything that I do, including when the webinars will be. Don't forget, we'll get an email link tomorrow for $4.99. Don't forget, you got 50% off the training CDs, and in 24 hours you'll receive an email with a download link. Next webinar is Monday, February 20th, and it's going to be Studying Important Doctrine with Logos 4. We're going to be talking about the tongue, and very excited about this upcoming topic. Looking forward to it. Thank you, everyone. You have a blessed night, and we'll see you next time in the webinar.